What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Z Show with Jake and Jade today. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Me too. Feeling well.
Good.
We gotta be careful not to talk too loud because the waves pick it up.
Oh yeah,
It's all bad. But
right.
yeah, you doing well?
Yeah.
I'm feeling really good. And
Yeah.
I think this can be a good podcast. So,
Me too.
what are some of the things you had on the list to talk about?
Well, first of all, I'd like to start by introducing myself formally. My name is Jayde Lindbo, and Jake and I have known each other for about three and a half years, somewhere in there. So it's a long story. I got a lot of long stories. I met Jake through a friend of mine, Hunter, and he's a mutual friend of ours. And so what happened was I was hanging out with another friend of mine and my used-to-be girlfriend way back in freshman year. I had just graduated, by the way. And so we were at McDonald's. And so somebody was talking shit about my friend or something, and it was this guy named Hunter. And so I called him up on my friend Jamie's phone, and I just shit-talked him right to his face. It was the funniest thing. And so what ended up happening is I gave him my number so I could apologize. And then later on, we ended up hanging out and becoming like a huge friend group called the Bayou Boys, and it was just a good time. But anyways, a little bit about myself. I have one brother, 11 years old, and two divorced parents very recently in the past month, actually. It became official. I moved out into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in about the end of April of my senior year. And so I had about a month and a half of high school left, and adulting had already hit me. And I've been working for my dad since I was 10, started doing landscaping with him. And when he sold that company, then I became the maintenance director of all of his investment properties, like apartments and for sale stuff and all that. And so that's what I do for a living. It keeps me busy about 60, 70 hours a week, and definitely a good time. I will warn you in advance that these podcasts that we do will probably be more serious than like Vincent, and Vincent's pretty good. I've listened to him. And I've listened to Ben too, and he just kind of likes to have a little fun. And so it's not going to be a completely serious time, but probably will be a little bit more than usual. And the only reason is because I feel like what I have to say will benefit us, and not just you guys as listeners, but us, like I said, as like the makers, the people that are, sometimes it's good to give yourself your own advice. And I hope that what I have to say will help you. I have a lot of things I want to talk about every chance I get to be on this wonderful up and coming show. And so now Jake and I are going to take a half a second to figure out what the hell we're going to talk about.
Basically, we're going to talk, because I was doing one earlier and I just kind of gave up halfway through because I couldn't make it work with just me. And so there'll be some that I do myself. But right now we're going to talk about making it through with your struggles, your tough times. So, friends, families, relationships. And I was touching on this a little bit in between there, and it was kind of becoming a blabber on. So I'm hoping another person that can give me a good topic change. So yeah, that's why I picked up Jade here so he could help me with this. And, but yeah, so you're a little bit further in life than I am, and I'm still having some hardships, but not probably as much as you deal with. So what is your secret for dealing with your tough times? And
well, to narrow it down to one secret is hard, and truthfully, none of it is a secret. It's just stuff. It's just everyday, very simple stuff that people don't understand, because humans have a tendency to make everything more complex than it actually is, just because we didn't get a manual on how it works. So we got to figure it out ourselves, right? I would say my quote unquote secret, which is actually very common knowledge, is just the fact that you have control of your own head. Nobody else. Um, a counselor does not have control over your own head. Your parents don't have control over your own head. Your significant other doesn't have control. Um, your doctor doesn't have control. Your medication doesn't have control. Alcohol doesn't have control. Anything
Well,
that happens in your life doesn't have control except for what you make of what happens to you on a
yeah,
daily
and
basis.
but here's the other thing: is you run into that problem with, some people don't know how to deal. So like cutting. If you don't know, I'm really against cutting. I absolutely fucking hate it. But I
I agree.
understand the need for it, right? So I'm not going to get pissed and angry and, oh, why do you do this? Blah blah. I understand why people do it. But why is that? Because my opinion on it of why that's a fallback is because people sometimes will feel so, oh god, hiccups. Some people will feel so out of control of their own life, and they feel like cutting themselves will put them in control of their own life. Like, I can choose life or death right now. That's my opinion on it. I don't know where you stand, if you get really pissed and angry and won't talk to a girl if she does it, or I just see it as a case to help them.
Right. Well, as far as controlling your own life, I don't think controlling your own life necessarily literally means controlling whether you live or die. And if so, there are a lot of if that's what it means, there are plenty of other ways to control whether you live or die besides cutting yourself. As a matter of fact, a quicker one would be skydiving without a parachute. And in my mind, that would be a little cooler.
That's just death. That's there's no live or die. It's just death.
Well,
Skydiving with a parachute that you don't know if it works or not.
okay, that's just a bad luck type deal. But as far as I'm concerned with
I'm thinking of a song right now by Bo Birmingham. Kill Yourself.
oh my
And it
god.
just talks. I'll play it in a little bit if we won't get copyrighted. But it just talks about like different ways. If you think life, I'll just play it right now. Hold on. If you think life is hard, blah blah blah, kill yourself. You only take a minute. Hold on.
Do we really need to?
Yes, it's fucking
Okay,
hysterical.
I didn't think this is where this conversation would go.
Are you lonely? Have you ever felt 2 feet tall? Man, if only I was anybody else at all. They like to kick you when times get rough. They stay it all, but it's not enough. Some sticks and stones might break your bones, but words can break your heart. And if you don't know, you do it, so do it and shove your head in it, kill yourself. Wait, no, nothing to it. Just grab a mug and chuck a couple lighter fluid.
Wow, it's telling you how too.
Yeah. Search for moral wisdom. Katy Perry. This one's better. This has a lot more of them. Kill yourself. It won't be painful if you are able to give a little kiss to an oncoming train. You'll kill yourself. Mullet, it'll bring a bullet. Get it for your head, it bring a bullet. Stick your tongue in the plug, suck a pipe of exhaust. Make fingers in the toes, nail yourself to a cross. Breath till it's gone, drink a gallon of yeast. Run, let Oprah sit on your face. Pop of a bridge, skin it, dip it in the floods. I'll dive attached to a fridge, drink a Haitian guy's blood. So, anyways, real quick before we continue, let me just make a disclaimer here. I am not for suicide. I hate the idea of it. I'm not telling anybody to kill themselves. That was just an example of a song.
Yeah, no feelings attached to that.
No, but back to like what I was saying. I feel like you kind of get to the point where you are struggling to deal with things, and if that's what like for us, it's
Are
for
you
me,
still talking about cutting?
No, yes, cutting and the
Oh,
whole
okay.
suicide self-harm thing. If for me, nicotine, which could be considered a form of self-harm because it is killing me and I just don't care. So,
Yeah.
I resort to nicotine. Some
But
people
it's a
resort to-
slower death, so it's okay.
It's okay. I'll live to be 80, 90 years old still. But no, so you get to the point where I feel like people don't want to resort to anything that they think is bad in that way. Because alcohol, alcoholics, that's bad. Being addicted to nicotine, that's bad. Being, a stoner, that's bad. But what the fuck are you doing?
Cleaning my eyeballs.
And then eating it.
I don't know, man. It's a drug. Anyways, it's a drug. Anyways, before we continue, I would just like to answer the question in which you asked me, and that is about if I would talk to a girl and try and help her if she was cutting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the answer is yeah, I would. And the reason is because everybody deserves a chance to be helped. I am not going to guarantee anyone, including myself, the person I'm helping, or anyone in witness of it, that I will be able to change that person. But I will help them. No, if they don't want my help, like I learned a lesson a long time ago that you can't help people that don't want to be helped. So you can try, and if they don't accept that, you have to let them live their life the way they want, and sometimes it means that you have to leave it if it's holding you back or if it's making them go down a direction that they aren't happy anymore.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, you can't change anybody's mentality. But, like, I asked you earlier, I said, what is your secret to dealing with, dealing with troubled times? And so for me, it resorts to my friends. I will go back to the friends that I know that I have when you're going through a relationship problem or a family problem. And for me, that's helpful. But I'm one of those people who tends to, like, ball stuff up and hide it away until later and then just explode on somebody because they piss me off. So I don't know exactly how other people deal with it, but that's what I do.
Well, everybody has a different coping method. Everybody has different shit inside their head that makes it all come together for them, makes it all okay. I bet you I can name a half a dozen of them right now. First of all, smoke a dart. Second of all, drink a half bottle of Jack. Third, take a couple hits off a dab pen. Fourth, go hang out with your friends. Fifth, cut. 6, just altogether kill yourself. 7, control it in your own head.
Shouldn't kill yourself come after controlling your own. If you shouldn't control it in your own head, be in the beginning somewhere.
Well, I always save the best for last, and I believe that controlling your own head is your best option.
Basically, what you're saying is you kill yourself and then...
No. This isn't something you should do in consecutive order. God, you'd be dead by the third one. But no, that's just a list of many ways. I'm sure the listeners we're probably making their own right along with it. And I just think that people, it's proven, people have talked themselves out of cancer before. And I just don't, I don't believe that if people can talk themselves out of cancer, there's no way that they can't talk themselves out of a breakup. I'm not saying that this works for everyone. There's some people that it should work for everyone, but there are some people that mentally just won't be able to figure it out. But I'm telling you that with determination, anyone can. I mean, look at kids. I mean, they are happy because they make themselves happy. Even when their mommy and daddy don't play with them because they have to go to work, they're happy by themselves with the Hot Wheels or with the Barbie set. They don't need anybody else or any substance to make them feel that way. They generate it themselves. And I guess if you're considering a Barbie doll a substance, then that's one thing. But the only thing that I want to say, and this is without telling any backstories to how this came to be or anything like that, the only thing that I will say that I believe in without background information is that it's all in your own head. If weed makes you feel good, it's because that's the neuro association you have with that. If it's hanging out with your friends or being alone and lighting a candle and listening to music in the bathtub, that's a neuro association too. It's not the bathtub's fault that you are happy. It's not the weed's fault that you're happy. It's the way that you generate that. It's the same thing if somebody yells at you and makes you mad. They are not they are not the reason that you're mad. You are the reason that you're mad because of how you reacted in your own head to what they said. I mean, there are people so crazy out there that they have trained themselves to become happy, to release dopamine when people criticize them. There is proof of that, and it's insane. Don't do that. I'm not advertising that, but I just want to say that you have control, and that should be a good thing. It's not me telling you something that, you know, is trying to put you in your place. I'm like the guy who's got good news, and I want to give it to you because it's something that every human deserves to know.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing is, you know, how we perceive. I was talking to either Ben or Katie about this. How we perceive sadness is completely skewed because think about this. Right now, you know, a small child, you know, a kid, small, young age child would cry the same whether she just lost both her parents in a car accident or she dropped her ice cream on the pavement. I mean, so
Yeah.
and now, you know, and as we get older, the relations kind of skew, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because, like I said, that girl, you know, when her parents die, yeah, she'll be sad. When she drops her ice cream on the ground, she'll be just as sad. But for us, it would be so much different. If my parents were to, you know, kick the bucket right now versus me dropping, you know, a plate of spaghetti, I would be.
Yeah, right. You'd probably cry if you broke the plate and it was your grandma's china, but I mean, we're not talking about the plate. We're talking about the spaghetti here. So don't read into it, everybody. Jesus.
But no, and like I said, it's how we perceive sadness. So if you don't let that sadness touch you, then it won't. You won't have to worry about it because it'll be something that you can think of in the back of your mind as, you know, I could go through way worse. You know, this is not as bad as I think it could be. I could lose, you know, my whole family in a fire or whatever.
Squirrel moment, by the way. Jake and I made this thing up a couple of years ago called the squirrel moment because we both have ADHD beyond belief. And so we just made this thing up called the squirrel moment where it is completely okay to cut somebody off from any conversation, no matter how important it is, including in the middle of a fucking podcast, to tell Jake that he only has 606 hours of recording left on this device. Think about that.
Where'd you see that?
Down at the bottom there? Dude, we gotta fucking... You know, talk is cheap. We got to cut the gaps and make this thing work. We only have 606 episodes left that we should do.
Fuck. By that point, if I don't have a nicer computer, I'll be pissed.
Yeah. Hopefully by 600 episodes, people will fucking follow you just for the fucking credit they give you of having 600
Right.
of these cunts.
Fuck. Just like that one video you find that just has like a shit ton of episodes. You're like, well, I'm curious now. Why did they fill so many episodes?
Yeah, they have a lot of them. It's like, all right, I'm going to go watch all of them. That would be 600 labor hours.
We do need to figure out the whole SoundCloud thing tonight if I do come over. But
SoundCloud, yeah, we do. Because then people, you beautiful listeners, can listen without having to have your goddamn app open, thanks to YouTube.
And you can also use it without internet.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or minimal internet.
You can download instead of, you know, using a gig of data listening to a podcast which has a still screen but still takes as much as a video.
Fuckers. No,
Yeah, I know, they're cunts.
And the other thing we were going to talk about was there's two more things I want to talk about. One is the entitlement mentality. This generation has just the worst fucking entitlement ever. You know, you have when I was a kid. Here's the thing. When I was a kid, it wasn't really that long ago. But when I was a kid, I had that fucking shitty slide phone. You know, remember that one? You know, I didn't have an iPhone for the long. I didn't get an iPhone until 8th grade.
Exactly, and you probably didn't
myself.
get the slide phone until you were fucking probably 12 years old enough to walk through Walmart by yourself.
I was in middle school.
Our kids, even the kids just, you know, younger siblings of ours now have iPhones. Like my brother had an iPhone when he was 7 years old, and I didn't have my first flip phone until I was 11. Like, just that is how fast we're changing, and that's only a 6-year gap between us.
Yeah, no, so... And, like, my sisters want to joke that, like, oh, you get everything handed to you, but I don't. I really don't. And so, like I said, you kind of just turn into that thing where it's just entitlement. It's, you know, you owe me this, and everybody's such a fucking snowflake and gets so emotional so quickly. And it's just like, it's retarded.
And entitlement goes beyond a child thing. Entitlement is not only taught in our schools, but enforced through 90% of the people who have 9-to-5 jobs. I mean, think about it. People in the school system. They say, okay, well, are you going to college? And or what are you going to college for? Automatically assuming that every kid that they ask that is going to college. And for me, when I said that I wasn't going to college, it felt awkward to say that because it was asked in a way that had an expectation that I should be going. So there's the first problem, is that kids are taught that going to college is the only way to be successful.
And then the other thing is that you get to these points where, like, remember doing like track and field day at school? Remember, where you would go out and you'd play all these like different yard games, stuff like that. And first place got a ribbon, second place got a ribbon, third place got a ribbon. Everything else just fucked off because you lost, and that was the whole incentive. And now everybody gets a participation ribbon. Everybody gets a something to say that they tried. Well, it's not. If you want to get better, if you want a ribbon, fucking get better and earn the ribbon. Don't just expect one to be handed to you, because then you won't fight for anything in your life.
Right. And a hint for all the kids out there. All right. That's not how the real world works.
Screaming.
You don't get a participation medal. You don't get a credit for doing the job, even if you didn't do your best job. You don't get a free recognition. I mean, that ends, like, not even in elementary school, but just as soon as you get into middle school, it ends. I mean, I think we can all vouch for, at least Jake and I can probably vouch for the fact that once we entered middle school from elementary, it was a hard hit. And then after that, we slowly got eased into the fact that the world doesn't work like that. Or maybe it does. I mean, think about the people out there that like I was saying about the school system. That's only the first step, is the people that, almost the whole school system believes that going to college is the answer to get a good job. And the good job that you get from college is the answer to you becoming successful, and the expectation that having a 9-to-5 job is what every person that goes to school wants to do. And that, having that good job with that stable income, steady paycheck, for a certain amount of hours, you get a certain amount of money. Well, that's not for everyone. And it's not always the answer either, because that's where the entitlement mentality starts. Is people start thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to go to college, I need a good paying job, and I needed to have a benefit plan. Now that right there is where it all begins. Everything from a regular job at a big office building to plumbers, electricians, to everybody. You think about it, and even I think the worst of all these people is the government. The teachers' unions, the labor unions, the people that will go on strike against the government if they don't get their 50% pension plan at 40 years after they have retired. I mean, I know I have a person in my family, I'm not going to say who. She is she's, I think, 40 some years old, maybe mid-40s, maybe at the most. And next year is her last year of working. She works as head of Border Patrol at the Botno border station. And she's much younger than my mom, who is still working her ass off at her cooking store every day. And she is just about to retire. And of course, she makes good money. I'm sure 6 figures by this point. And she will make half of that for the rest of her life. So she will be retired for the next 40 years and still alive and well, and she will receive that. I don't think that her service is bad, but I think that you would have to do something miraculous to deserve to be paid every single month for the rest of your life. And in today's culture, now that's what we expect. That's what people expect when they go to college. They expect to have that good job with the good benefits and the good pension plan and the good pay, and they expect it to all work out like a happily ever after story. Well, happily ever after never happened.
And then they have these damn liberals that want their whole college
Liberals.
They want their whole college experience paid for, and you're like, well, you're not going to actually get it free because the government's going to have to tax you more to pay for all your schooling.
There's no such thing as a free lunch. If you didn't learn that in economics class, well, there it fucking is for you. There is no such thing as a free lunch, and today, Bernie Sanders seems to think that there is. And it's just never, ever going to be true as long as humanity exists.
That is a man that, as a child, had everything handed to him on a silver fucking platter.
The only thing that didn't cost anybody anything was when God made this earth. That's the only thing that came free. It's free for him to give it to us, but as far as humanity concerns, we are all paying something for something to someone, and that's always how it's going to be. And if we're not paying for it, somebody else is, and it's probably hurting them more than it would hurt you to pay for yourself, because you don't even take it as seriously when you don't pay for it for yourself. How are we doing?
I'm looking battery quick.
30%, 33%. So it might not last the 606 hours, but
probably not. But it's okay. But yeah, and then you get those people. So okay. I'm not transphobic. I'm not. If you want to change your gender, that's fine. I'm a very religious man, and so I believe that I believe it's wrong. But if you believe otherwise, I'm not gonna shame you for it. I'm not gonna
believe about what?
Transgenders.
Oh yeah.
Everybody is so worked up about the whole. Oh, you can't. Justify me by my gender. I can. Okay. You were born with a penis. You are a male. If you were born with a vagina, you are a female. Now, if you feel like you are the other. You feel like you are more of a guy than a girl or a girl than a guy. There's tomboys, and guys can dress up and be girly too. But you take it a whole nother step and you say, I'm a woman. I'm a woman, a man.
Exactly. It's like, we had nothing wrong with tomboys. Literally. It was just fine. Honestly, once high school came around, it was probably more fun to have one or two of those around in your friend group.
Yeah.
But then when you get to, you get to the next level and you're pronouncing yourself and identifying as the opposite gender, that is a little extreme. If you're trying to accomplish the fact that you like boy toys and boy things, and you don't have to get a genetic mutation to fucking clarify it. If you wear Ariat boots and you hang out with the fucking boys on a Saturday night and you're a girl, that's fine. I don't think that you were born one way and you got to embrace that, because humans are not going to be able to do what God did when he created us. We can change whether you have a dick or a pussy, but it's still not going to feel the same when you're fucking. So what does it matter? You take what God gave you, you work with it, and you embrace it instead of trying to change it. Imagine that in our lives, trying to change. I would consider that to be a life of regret, and just the fact. Fuck, if we're gonna change whether we have a dick or a cunt hole, why don't we just fucking go outside and shoot a little fucking pod up into the sky that takes precipitation away from our towns, or brings us more when we need it? Why don't we figure out how that works? Why don't we change our living conditions? Why don't we change the temperature so North Dakota isn't -50 during the fucking winter time? Why don't we do that instead of, worrying about our dicks or pussies? And my biggest thing is... Sorry for the language, but Jesus. My biggest thing is, it's the people who do this and they... Oh, well, I'm... I want to be... you can't assume my gender and you can't... Motherfucker, I will call you an it if I feel like it. I'm not gonna... in my opinion, you were born how God made you, and to change that is just to smack him in the face and say he doesn't know any better. And so for me, that's a big problem. So I will not call a transgender person by their assumed gender. I will call them by the one that they are. Because I always tell you, oh, I was a girl, I'm a boy. All right, come on, girl. Let's go. I'm not... I also won't call a transgender by a name they want to change to until they change it legally. Nicknames are different. If your name is Patrick, you want me to call me Pat, you want me to call you Patty or something like that, that's fine. That's a nickname. That's not changing your name from Patrick to fucking
Rihanna. Jesus. I mean, I'm like, can you just fucking
You
not?
could just do Patrick to Patricia, but who wants to be named Patricia?
Exactly.
Especially a liberal.
It's such a fucking.
That's a conservative name. Patricia, you don't want to take Patricia and make it a swear word.
No.
You want to take Patricia and you want to treat Patricia right. You want to treat her or it right, not make it a he. Or,
Yeah, it's
well, I actually started with Patrick, but don't fuck up with Patricia, okay?
it's such a fuck. I can't even like you can't even understand, like, we're just rambling at this point. But basically,
Yeah, pretty much.
we talked about the two important things we wanted to, which was the entitlement mentality, where it basically is life is gonna I'm gonna finish this quick. Life is gonna beat you down, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't really fight back. You can try to live it as best you can, but you're not gonna get a participation award for everything you do in life. You know, it's when you get into like the world of business, it's cutthroat. It's, you know, dog eat dog, and it's just bad. So, and then with the whole making it through tough times, you have to find what works for you, and you have to hope that it's not something harmful to you. You know, if your problem was anger, get a punching bag, beat the shit out of a punching bag. If your problem is sadness, surround yourself with friends that you know you can trust, that want to be with you and hang out with you and see you, that you can use for moral support. And if it's, you know, any of the other things, alcohol, don't drink, don't try not to start in the first place, try to change it. You just have to understand that as things change, they kind of, you know, become more and more will be better for you. You'll have more time to think about them. So that is it for this episode. We're gonna get the first one up and uploaded. So if this one comes out, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.